What if everything you think is real isn't? What if the life you've been living, the things you believe without question, the very ground you walk on, isn't what it seems at all? Imagine it, a whole world carefully built around you, layer by layer, since the moment you were born. A story crafted so skillfully that you never even thought to question it. You lived inside it like a fish lives in water, never realizing the water is even there. But deep down, some part of you has always known. You felt it, haven't you? That strange, restless feeling that something just doesn't fit. That soft whisper in your chest, growing louder when the world goes quiet. Something isn't right. You've been carrying that feeling like a secret tucked deep inside you because no one around you seems to hear it too. At first, it's easy to ignore. You dive into school, into work, into relationships, into the endless noise of a busy life. You wear the faces you're supposed to wear. You say the words you're supposed to say. You fit yourself into the shapes the world demands. But every now and then, maybe when you're lying awake at night or staring out the window in a rare quiet moment, the feeling stirs again. A soft ache. A question you can't put into words. Is this really all there is? And for a while, you shove it away. You tell yourself you're just tired, just ungrateful, just overthinking. You throw yourself harder into the chase, chasing grades, chasing money, chasing approval, chasing love, chasing anything that might finally make you feel whole. And maybe for a while, it works. Maybe you reach a goal you thought would fix everything. Maybe you stand at the finish line and hold the prize you thought would fill that emptiness. But instead of joy, you feel nothing. Or worse, you feel more lost than ever. You realize that the thing you thought would finally make you arrive is just another stop on a road that never ends. And that's when the first real crack appears. Tiny at first, almost invisible. But once it's there, the whole world starts to feel unstable. Sometimes the crack opens slowly, like a whisper spreading through your life. Other times, it rips through everything in an instant, a heartbreak, a betrayal, a loss so deep it knocks the air from your lungs. You look around at the pieces of your life scattered on the floor and realize they never fit together the way you thought they did. And from that moment on, you can never truly go back. Waking up isn't a single moment of clarity. It's not a beautiful beam of light descending from the heavens to show you the way. It's messier than that. It's a slow, painful tearing away of everything you thought was solid. It's a journey through darkness, confusion, grief. You try to cling to the old stories, the old comforts. You tell yourself you can patch up the crack, pretend it's not there. But deep down, you know, something fundamental has shifted, and no amount of pretending will undo it. At first, you still look the same. On the outside, nothing seems different. You wake up, you get dressed, you smile at the barista, you nod along at meetings. But inside, there's a storm brewing. The world around you starts to feel strange, almost like a dream you're waking up from. Things you once accepted without a second thought now seem hollow, fake. Rules you lived by your whole life suddenly feel arbitrary. Traditions that once gave you comfort now feel like cages. You start asking questions, big, scary questions, about everything. About society, about religion, about the news, about the people you trust, about yourself, who you are, what you really believe, what you really want. And the more you question, the more the illusions fall away. You realize that much of what you were taught wasn't meant to help you thrive. It was meant to keep you small, obedient, quiet. School didn't teach you how to think for yourself. It taught you how to memorize and repeat. Religion didn't invite you to seek your own truth. It handed you someone else's and warned you never to stray. The news didn't show you the world as it is. It showed you the version of the world they wanted you to believe. Piece by piece, the walls around you crumbled. The life you thought you knew falls apart. And it's terrifying, because even though the prison was confining, it was familiar. Now, you're standing in the ruins of it, exposed to the cold winds of uncertainty. It's easier, you realize, to live inside a comfortable lie than to face the terrifying freedom of the unknown. You try to talk about it. You try to explain what you're seeing, what you're feeling. You reach out to the people you thought would understand. But most of them don't. They listen politely, or they laugh it off, or they look at you with pity, like you're broken. That's just how life is, they say. You're overthinking. Grow up. Their words hurt more than you want to admit. Not because you believe them, but because a part of you wishes you still could. Because believing them would be easier. It would mean you could go back, slip back into the dream, forget you ever saw through it. But you can't. Once you see the cracks, you can't unsee them. Once you know the world isn't what it seems, you can't pretend anymore. You're awake now, whether you like it or not. And that's when the real journey begins. The ground under your feet shifts. The job that once gave you purpose now feels like a meaningless grind. The friendships that once felt vibrant now feel shallow, scripted. The routines that once kept you afloat now feel like dead weight, dragging you down. You look around and realize that most people are still asleep, trapped inside the same illusion you've broken out of. And the loneliness cuts deep, a bone-deep ache that no amount of distraction can numb. Some days, you wish you could unlearn what you know. You wish you could slip back into the dream and live a simpler, easier life. But even in your loneliest moments, a small, fierce part of you refuses. Because despite the pain, despite the fear, despite the aching loneliness, you know that what lies beyond the illusion is real. And real, even when it's painful, is better than living a lie. Slowly, painfully, you start to rebuild. Not the life you had before, but something new, something real. You learn to sit with your own discomfort. You learn to listen to that small voice inside you, the one that was always there, whispering the truth beneath all the noise. You learn to trust yourself in a world that taught you not to. You start creating a life that actually fits you. Not the life you were told you should want, but the one that feels true to who you are. You shed old beliefs like a snake sheds its skin. You walk away from the things and people that can't see you, the real you, and you walk toward the unknown, even when your hands are shaking. There are moments of beauty, too. Moments of breathtaking freedom. Moments when you realize that even though you're standing on shaky ground, at least it's your ground. You realize that you're free in a way most people never are, not because it's easy, but because you chose the harder path. You chose truth over comfort. You chose yourself over the story they wrote for you. And maybe, just maybe, as you walk this path, you'll find others. Other wanderers, other questioners, other souls brave enough to tear down their own walls. You'll recognize them by the light in their eyes, the quiet strength in their steps. You'll realize you're not alone after all. And together, you'll begin to build something new, something real, out of the ashes of the old world. The journey of waking up will tear you apart. It will break your heart, shatter your illusions, leave you raw and exposed. But it will also set you free. And once you taste that freedom, once you feel what it's like to truly be alive, you'll know, deep in your bones, that it was worth it. Every step, every crack, every painful, beautiful moment of it. Then comes the terrifying question: if everything I thought was real was a lie, then who am I? This is where many people panic. Some run back to the old life, forcing themselves to believe in it again. Some drown themselves in distractions, work, entertainment, relationships, substances, anything to avoid the aching emptiness inside. But a few, the rare ones, choose to keep going, even when it hurts. Because when the illusion falls apart, something else happens too. The old version of you, the person you thought you were, begins to die. And that death is not gentle. It's violent, painful, confusing. It feels like losing everything all at once. You fall into a darkness that seems endless. You lose interest in things that once made you happy. Friends drift away. Dreams you once fought for seem pointless. Nothing feels solid anymore. This is known as the dark night of the soul, a place so few people talk about because it's not pretty or inspirational. It's brutal. It's a time when everything you once believed collapses and you're left standing alone in the ruins of your old life, wondering if you'll ever feel whole again. During this stage, your mind spirals. You ask yourself over and over, who am I? What's the point of any of this? Am I losing my mind? Fear creeps in, whispering that you should have stayed asleep, that maybe ignorance really was bliss. But it's too late for that. Once you've glimpsed the truth, you can't go back. At this point, everything that doesn't serve your true self begins to fall away. Old jobs, old relationships, old beliefs, they all start crumbling. And it hurts like hell. You feel like you're falling apart. And in a way, you are. Because the ego, the false self you built to survive in a fake world, is dying. And the ego doesn't die quietly. It clings. It screams. It fights back. This is where most people give up. They run back to distractions, numbing themselves in any way they can. But if you choose to sit with the pain, if you choose to stay, something incredible begins to happen. In the silence, in the emptiness, in the loneliness, something stirs. A tiny spark, a glimmer of something real. You start to feel a new part of yourself waking up, a part that was buried under years of conditioning, expectations, and lies. You realize that what's dying is not you. It's everything you were never meant to be. This is the beginning of rebirth. As the false self crumbles, the search for truth begins. You start devouring information, books, podcasts, ancient teachings, hidden wisdom, anything that helps you understand what's happening to you. You look at the world with new eyes, questioning everything you were once so sure of. And slowly, piece by piece, a new understanding begins to form. You start seeing patterns you never noticed before. You experience synchronicities, strange coincidences that feel too perfect to be random. You think of a question, and the answer appears. The right person crosses your path at just the right time. It feels like the universe is communicating with you, because it is. You realize that truth isn't just something you read about, it's something you experience. You start practicing mindfulness, meditation, breathwork, anything that helps you connect with the deeper part of yourself. And sometimes you feel like you're touching the secrets of the universe itself. But another painful realization comes. Most people don't want to know the truth. You try to share what you're learning, thinking others will be excited too. But most of them aren't ready. Some dismiss you. Some distance themselves. Some even ridicule you. And slowly, you accept that not everyone is meant to wake up, at least not in this lifetime. You feel the loneliness again, but now it feels different. Now you understand that solitude is part of the path. That awakening is not a group activity. It's a solo journey into the depths of your own soul. And for the first time, you're okay with that. Because now you're no longer seeking approval. You're no longer trying to fit into a world you've outgrown. You're no longer chasing validation. You're chasing truth, and that's all you need. And then, just when you think you've seen it all, the final and greatest illusion falls away. The illusion of self. You begin to realize that even your identity, your name, your story, your achievements, your failures, was part of the illusion. None of it is who you truly are. It's just a mask, a role, a character you played in a story written by someone else. At first, your mind fights back. It whispers, "You need me." Who will you be without me? But deep inside, you know the truth. The ego isn't you. It never was. It's just the armor you wore to survive in a world built on lies. And now, you're taking it off. And beneath it all, for the first time, you meet your true self, the real you, the one that has been waiting quietly all along. There's a moment in life when everything feels different, but you can't explain why. It sneaks up on you, quiet but powerful, like a wave you didn't see coming. Suddenly, the things that used to upset you, anger you, define you, none of it touches you the same way anymore. It's as if a heavy veil has been lifted from your eyes, and you see the world not as you were told it is, but as it really is. And in that moment, a strange feeling grows inside you. Not fear, not sadness, but something far more unfamiliar. A deep, raw detachment from everything you once thought mattered. At first, it's disorienting. You realize you no longer react emotionally to things the way you used to. The insults, the judgments, the old wounds, they no longer spark the same fires inside you. You don't feel the need to defend yourself, to fight back, or to prove your worth. The opinions of others start to sound like noise in the background, distant and meaningless. You understand that you were once trapped by invisible chains made of beliefs about who you needed to be, how you needed to act, and what you needed to chase. You see now that much of your suffering was tied to an identity you never truly chose. The ego senses this change, and it panics. It whispers old fears into your mind, trying to pull you back into the old game. It tells you that if you let go completely, you'll lose yourself. You'll disappear. You'll become nothing. And for a moment, that fear feels real. You hesitate. You doubt. You almost reach back for the familiar comfort of the mask you used to wear. But then something unexpected happens. In the space where fear tried to creep in, something much stronger takes root. A profound peace settles in your heart. It is not the peace you once imagined, the kind that comes from everything being perfect on the outside. No, this peace has nothing to do with the world outside you. It comes from within. It feels like being weightless, like floating through life without the heavy burden of trying to control everything. For the first time, you realize you are free from the endless noise in your head. Free from the pressure to perform, to achieve, to prove anything to anyone. In this stillness, a truth reveals itself to you. You are not your thoughts. You are not your past. You are not even the voice in your head that narrates your life. You are something deeper, something vaster, something infinite. The ego, the story you believed for so long, was never truly you. It was just a character you played, a mask you wore in the grand theater of life. And now you see it for what it is, a beautiful, painful illusion. With this realization, you are finally free to choose. Free to decide who you truly want to be without the old chains holding you back. But this freedom comes at a cost, and that cost is the death of the old self. Because when the ego starts to lose its power, something ancient wakes up inside you, your intuition. At first, it feels like a whisper, a soft tug in your gut, a quiet knowing that doesn't come from logic or reason. You start noticing strange coincidences. You think of someone you haven't spoken to in years, and they call you. You start seeing repeating numbers everywhere, 1111, 333, 777. You open a random book or stumble upon a video, and the words you find are exactly what you needed to hear. It feels strange, even a little magical. But deep down, you understand this isn't randomness. This is your inner guidance system coming back online, something that has always been there, buried under layers of doubt, logic, and conditioning. For the first time, you trust yourself more than the voices around you. You walk into a room and you can feel the energy, whether it's heavy or light, peaceful or chaotic. People speak to you, and even when their words sound sweet, you can feel the lies behind them. You start reading between the lines. You start seeing beyond the surface. You are no longer fooled by appearances, no longer blinded by masks. And then reality itself begins to shift. You feel an invisible hand guiding you, not from above, not from outside, but from deep within. The coincidences grow stronger. Life seems to be speaking to you directly, sending you signs, nudging you gently along your true path. The line between you and the universe grows thinner until one day you realize there was never any separation to begin with. You no longer force things. You no longer fight life. You flow. You trust. You feel which way to move, when to act, when to wait. The desperate need to control, to plan every detail, fades away. You finally understand. Life is not happening to you. It is happening through you. And yet, you also start seeing something darker. You realize that almost everything you were taught was designed to silence this inner voice. From the moment you were born, you were trained to ignore your gut feelings, to trust authorities, teachers, systems over your own soul. You were taught to worship logic, even when your heart screamed otherwise. You were trained to look outside yourself for answers to religions, governments, corporations, experts. Every structure, every system was built to make you doubt yourself, to keep you obedient, to keep you asleep. But now you see through it. Now you understand. Once you reconnect with your intuition, you become impossible to control. You don't fall for manipulation because you can feel the energy behind people's words. You don't chase approval because you already know your worth. You don't fear the unknown because you trust the unseen. This awakening makes you different, and not everyone will celebrate it. Some will admire you. Some will resent you. Some will try to drag you back into the old world of fear and conformity. And you will face a choice. Shrink yourself to make others comfortable, or continue expanding, no matter who or what you leave behind. Because here's the truth that hits hardest of all. Fear was the only thing that ever held you captive. Fear kept you chasing approval, obeying rules you never agreed to, living a life that was never truly yours. Fear made you small. Fear made you quiet. Fear made you forget your power. And now you are breaking free. For the first time, you don't care what people think. Their judgments, their expectations, their opinions, they roll off you like water off a stone. You see how deeply asleep the world is. How most people live in quiet, constant fear. And you refuse to live that way any longer. This is where true liberation begins. You stop obeying out of guilt. You stop apologizing for who you are. You stop explaining yourself to people who are not ready to hear the truth. You were never meant to fit in. You were meant to wake up. When fear no longer controls you, something incredible happens. You start making decisions based on intuition, not anxiety. You stop waiting for permission. You move when you feel it's right, even if you can't explain why. Life becomes an open canvas, and now you are the artist holding the brush. People will notice. They won't always understand what changed, but they'll feel it. You carry yourself differently. You move with a quiet, powerful confidence. You don't need to shout. You don't need to prove anything. Your very presence says enough. And some will be inspired. Some will be triggered. Because when you step into your freedom, you become a mirror, reflecting back to others the places they are still trapped. Your courage will make their fear impossible to ignore. And here, at this edge, the final test appears. Will you shrink back down to make them comfortable? Or will you keep expanding, keep trusting, even if it means walking alone for a while? Because the deeper you awaken, the more you realize fear was never real. It was only an illusion, a shadow on the wall designed to keep you from your own power. Now you see the truth. Now you know the way. There is no going back. You surrender, not in defeat, but in absolute trust. You let life move through you, effortless and beautiful. You stop chasing. You stop clinging. You simply are. And in that surrender, you find everything you were ever looking for. True freedom, true peace, true power. The world may keep spinning in its old ways, but you are not the same. You are awake now. Awake to the dream. Awake to the truth that you were never broken, never lost. You were only asleep. And now that you are awake, life will never be the same again. Because now you remember, you are not just a body. You are not just a mind. You are not even just a soul. You are consciousness itself, infinite and free. And your journey has only just begun.